Hello, everyone. So, in this episode, I'm talking with Jessica King. And if you have ever been to a um, Rumble class, then she is the one who has helped design, especially the first one. So this is really exciting. She is sharing kind of just the work that goes into making these spaces for things like Rumble Gym and other spaces that are gym related, wellness related, and yeah, so she goes into that, and I go into that with her. So thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe to the channel.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I was on the Google Meet. Saw your
That's
message.
oh, I
Thanks.
see. Right, that's okay.
No worries.
Oh, welcome. Awesome. How
Nice to
you
meet you.
doing?
I'm doing
Yeah,
great. Happy Friday.
Friday. Sorry, what?
Said happy Friday.
Oh, Friday. I thought you said Pride Day or something.
A little
Every
early.
Friday, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, yeah, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So where are you based right now?
I am
Okay.
in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Oh,
So I
Tennessee.
lived
Okay.
in New York. I went to grad school at Pratt and then
Yeah.
stayed for like 12 years. And then in COVID, kind of essentially moved back home. I came home
Okay.
for what I thought was going to be a week to hang out with some nieces and nephews, and then COVID became COVID. And
Right.
so I spent from March 15th to the beginning of August of 2020 in Chattanooga. Went back to
Okay.
New York um, to almost the end of the year and then decided I was ready for a change. And so I've settled
Right.
in chat, but most of my work is still coming kind of New York, LA from the circles I was running in there. So now I just fly around as I need to, you know?
Right. I
And I have a
love.
backyard. So like that's
Oh
great, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's hard in New York.
Yes. Are you in
Yeah.
New York?
No, I'm not. I'm in Denmark currently.
Oh,
So
Denmark. Great. Is
yeah,
that where you're based?
that is where I'm based and from. Yeah. But yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, New York is great.
That's
Love them there.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, well, this is kind of new for me. I've never like had a like an architect on the show before, but
sure.
I just love the projects that you've been involved with, and
Yeah,
I've always like from very young been very into architecture, so I thought it would be but kind of fun to bring it into it.
sure.
So yeah, to everyone who's listening right now and seeing it, today we have Jessica King on the podcast to share some of the projects and dive into some things about architecture and that field. So yeah, I wanna start with like some of your like recent projects that you've done and like share a bit about that. I think that
Of
would be
course.
really interesting. So you did latest I saw that you did the Sun Social Group, which is
Yes.
I'm not sure how to say the Sun.
Sund.
Sun, okay,
Yes.
yeah,
Sund Social Group Club. Yeah.
right. Kind of interesting to see like European like Icelandic concepts coming to New York.
Yeah. I mean, so it is three guys, young, very smart, Icelandic guys.
Right.
Uh, and we're at the very beginning of that project. They have a space that they've
Yeah,
picked out in Brooklyn. And they actually, when they created the project team, flew us all over. So,
right.
you
Okay.
know, myself and the architect and the engineer went and they toured us around both Finland,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know, known for its sauna culture, and then Iceland,
Yeah.
which is known for its bathing culture, which was super interesting. And
Mm.
you know, a good reminder of the best way to learn something is to experience it, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
working on a number of wellness slash bathhouse projects, right? But
Mm-hmm.
as an architect, as a designer, as a project manager, it's
Right.
easy to get caught in kind of doing the status quo. Like
Right.
collectively, people have decided that you need this many showers, or people have decided that you should move through a space in this way. And
That's
all of
interesting.
that kind of gets thrown out the window when you go to a
Uh-huh.
completely different country with a completely different culture
Mm-hmm.
everything from modesty to, privacy to the amount of space people feel comfortable sharing. Uh,
Right.
all of that is very different and culturally rooted.
Mm.
And I don't think through conversation I would have been able to ever get there in
Mm.
the way in which making the trip and experiencing all of those things got me there. So I'm very thankful for those guys. They were right to make that investment, which was a big one, right?
Okay, yeah.
But it
Yeah.
has set an incredible stage for the entire project team because they care deeply about not only just making another wellness bathhouse space in
Mm.
New York, but truly kind of being ambassadors of Nordic culture,
But yeah, I can
which is so
imagine.
interesting and
Yeah.
fun to be a part of?
Yeah. Yeah. Something. Yeah. That's amazing. Something
Yeah,
from
it's
like the
cool.
outside and take that. Yeah. Yeah. That is really interesting. Like different cultures in that sense too.
Yeah, just people use space very differently, right?
Yeah.
I laughed when I moved from New York to Tennessee. Like
Uh-huh.
in New York, we physically don't have very much space at all, right? You're on the subway, you're even in a grocery store, and people's comfort level with being like literally touching, right,
Right.
is very
Right.
different than what people in Tennessee spatially feel comfortable with. I
Okay.
remember a silly example. Like I was at a grocery store with my now wife, and
Mm-hmm.
I reached past someone to grab something on a shelf. And she
Right.
was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What?" She's like, "You got way too close to that person." I was like, "I didn't touch them." She's like, "It was so awkward. It was way too close." So that's a funny example, but like,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't even get my radar in New York because we're used to very tight quarters. And so
Yeah.
it sounds kind of silly, but when you start to think of especially places that you want to have 200, 300 people occupying at the same time,
Yeah.
being very clear on how people will feel comfortable occupying that space together, you know, how much
Yes.
space is required to feel adequate, to
Mm-hmm.
feel, okay, we don't want to just be adequate. We want this to be a premium, high-end experience. What does that look like? And
Mm.
all of those kind of conversations get really interesting in tying culture and brand to physical space, kind of four wall businesses. Those things, ability
Right.
to bring those together in a smart way can really kind of make a place successful or not, uh,
Mm.
which is, a fun intersection for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting you mentioned and take that up because I was actually thinking about like, or when I visited in New York one of the US times, I was thinking about like one of the gym. This one was it's like the gym that has like a purple sign. It's not in my mind, right? It's very known. It's like in
Like
a
Planet
law.
Fitness.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
And I was actually surprised about how like big their bathroom and baths are
sure.
compared to here in Denmark.
Right.
Because it's very tight here, and we have like maybe also it's kind of a silly thing, but we have like four bathroom in like kind of tight space, and there I saw like they had like kind of really great space and like a like bath with like the hangers and every I don't know it just that seemed kind of luxurious to me at least.
Yeah, and you're always managing, how much physical space do you have slash need? How much money
Mm,
do you want to spend? And what are
yeah,
your clients' expectations? And
yeah,
then how do all of in the end, everybody's trying to create a successful business, not just a
yeah,
beautiful space, right?
right,
And so
yes,
which ones of those decisions, what levers can you pull that help the overall success of the business? Is picking a $5 tile versus a $10 tile move the needle enough that you can charge more for somebody to come in there so it makes you more
mm,
money?
yeah,
Is having 5 showers versus having 10 showers? Okay, it's going to cost you X amount more dollars to do that.
yeah,
But knowing how many people are going to be in there, if you've cut everybody's wait time for a shower down half, maybe your retention is a lot better. Therefore, you make more money and it's more successful. So it's like layering all of these kind of priorities intentions to
Yeah,
find what's right for each client. It's a puzzle.
it is a puzzle. It's an interesting puzzle. Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask you about what like what did you want to do as a kid, and how do you see yourself doing
Yeah.
that today?
Yeah, it's funny. The earliest memory I had my dad's mom lived in Mississippi in a house by an
Mm.
architect named Fay Jones. And Fay Jones was an understudy of Frank Lloyd Wright. And that house is
Mm.
incredible. And so I grew up going and spending a lot of time in this like very designed home,
Oh yeah.
which was very counter to every other home I spent time in, right?
Yeah.
That is the only introduction to having architecture or building kind of on my radar.
Mm.
But I have a distinct memory of being around 8 or 9 and being at that house and one of my aunts asking myself and all the cousins, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said an
Uh,
architect, and
okay.
everyone laughed, and I got embarrassed. And my aunt was like, "Don't worry, you're little. You're going to change what you want to do, a few times before you get older. Like it's going to be fine, right?"
Right.
But I went to high school, took a drafting class, liked it. I got into architecture school in undergrad, loved it. And so it just was kind of something that got on my radar young. And every time I took a step forward, it still
Mm.
felt like the right track,
We'll
you
seem right
know?
there. Yeah.
Um, I mean, architecture is interesting in that there's a bunch of different ways you can be an architect, right? Even
Yeah.
being in school,
Yeah.
it's like some architects are much more design focused. Some architects are much more technically focused,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and there's a huge span there. I kind of found myself in the middle, right?
Right.
I had a pretty good artistic vision and also, a brain big enough to solve the technical problems,
Right. Right.
which as a young architect was difficult because you didn't get a lot of I was kind of in the middle and not on either end. So there were people better than
Okay.
me at both things,
Right.
right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I'm not really a 5-year plan human. I'm more
Hmm.
of a show up every day and work really hard, try to have a good attitude and trust that you're going to end up where you need to be.
Right.
And in a million years, I would have never been able to dream as big as what I'm getting to do right now.
Right.
And so, I essentially at this point am what I call an owner's rep, which really is just a project manager. And so I do
Like
a lot
what
of
it, which is what
drawing.
you do, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's what I do now.
Yeah.
I do a
Okay.
lot of drawing because there's a lot to
Okay.
coordinate ideas to form, but I am not the architect of record. I am not the person drawing the floor plans, stamping them, and doing that.
Okay.
Now I'm
Right.
in a position where I essentially have become the go-between between a client and the entire project team.
Right.
So I now work really hard to understand what the client wants, needs, and then work to put the right people in all the positions to execute that for them and
Okay.
then help keep that on track, which I'm a good
Right.
architect. I'm a much better project manager, owner's rep.
Right. So there's a lot of connecting in the last part you mentioned there.
So much connecting, you
Right.
know, um, which I
Right.
think in the end, what I really, really enjoy is executing. I enjoy
Right.
having a problem, solving it, and then doing what I say I'm going to do. And I'm in
Right.
a much stronger position to do that as an owner's rep than as the architect. The architect is a very critical, important piece in all of these projects, but it's one piece.
Right.
And this allows me to kind of like have access to all of the pieces, which lets me in the end execute at a higher level, which I like. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So you've done the Sun Social Club,
Yep.
yeah, which is the bathhouse in New York City, and saunas too, right?
Yep. It's
Yeah.
going to have saunas.
Yeah. Then Strong Pilates Studios,
Yep.
Saint, which is also private saunas and ice
Yeah.
baths.
Saint is just about to have its public opening and it is tiny. It's about 1,000 square feet, but it is
Oh,
absolutely beautiful.
okay.
It is 4 individual little pods. Each one has a cold tub and a sauna. And I'm so proud of it. I love those guys. So I'm excited for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then the moment. Momentic Studios in LA, Remedy Place, and Glass Lab.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you work on these projects, as you just talked us a bit through that before, but like like how I don't know, I guess what does a process like coming into a project look like? You know?
Yeah. I mean, every project and client is different, right? When I
Yeah,
moved from an architecture firm onto the client side, it was for a client called Rumble Boxing.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and
go
so
Rumble.
there you go. I was, yeah, go Rumble, go Andy Stern, right?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
I did the first three Rumbles as the architect, like in the architecture firm drawing it. Once we
right.
got to three and they were doing well and decided they wanted to open 10 more, the CEO that was having to run the process hadn't
Yeah.
have enough time to do that. So they hired me from the firm to work specifically for Rumble to kind of run that whole process on the client side. So lots to learn there, going from being just the
Yeah.
architect to like broadening that scope, right? So these days, depending on the client, I assist and drive everything from real estate, meaning helping them find a location that works for their concept. In terms of, does it have the utilities you need? Does it have the ceiling height
Mm.
you need? You know, can
Yeah.
we legalize this building for the use that you want to use it for? All that kind of stuff. Help them, the client, understand what the business model is, and then go out
Mm.
and pair the correct architect, engineer, permit expediter, contractor to that team. Build the right team, which
Uh-huh.
often has a lot to do with what is the budget, what is the timeline, who's familiar with this type of work, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I work with a ton of great partners. That doesn't mean every partner is great for every client, right?
Right.
And so putting people in the right position makes the process a lot more fun for everybody, right? So then
Yeah.
once you get all those people in place, right? Then for clients, I think a big value I bring is just helping to set realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Like building something is hard. It just is, even with the right team. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell
Very.
people if you have a project and it's going to take a year and it's going to cost $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to change. It just is what it
Mm.
is. But if on the front end of that project you don't have a me, you may think it's going to take 2 years and 2 million, or half a year and $500,000. The project never changed. But what you thought could make that seem like an epic failure or an epic success, which it's really neither. You
Mm-hmm.
just didn't understand what you were signing up for,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
so I care deeply about helping clients on the front end really understand what it's going to take,
Yeah.
because it's hard to do. And on the front end, it might break your heart. I might tell you, you can't do what you want to do for that amount of money or in that time. But better to
Right.
break your heart early before you've
Oh
already spent
yeah.
$1 million
Yeah.
in 8 months of your life under like false expectations, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing I built. And then after that, once we get through that hurdle, it's really, the biggest thing is managing the budget and the timeline, which
Yeah.
a lot of that is just being clear
Right.
expectations with everybody involved. This is the deadline we're going to hit. These are the steps it's going to take to get there. And then I over support all of those people in getting to those steps,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So how long have you been in the architecture field now?
So I graduated from undergrad with an accredited architecture degree in 2006.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then I worked in architecture firms until 2018.
Right.
A year and a half of that spent in grad school at Pratt,
Right. Okay. Yeah.
so a good amount of time in firms. And then from 2018 to now have been more on the client side, you
Okay.
know.
Okay. So what, say that again. What did you do in the first part? Like to,
I went to college, like undergraduate
yeah.
school.
Yeah. And then
It,
after that.
And then after that, I worked in architecture firms. So I
Okay.
had
Okay.
a
Yeah.
job at a firm in Memphis, Tennessee called Looney Rick's Kiss. Great
Mm.
people. I loved it for 3 years. That got us to about 2009 when the economy crashed. And
Mm.
so layoffs
Yeah.
across the board, and I was low man on the totem pole.